Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Lokalochana Subhasha Harsha Kesha Karataram Sarvadesha Hahutasha Kataram Nyasivesha Sarvadesha Hahutasha Kataram Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Premadama Bhakta Vesha Radha Desha Charanam Shri Adisa Bhakta Vesha Radha Desha Charanam Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Nama Jiva Taranam Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Nama Jiva Taranam Bhava Pramatma Matta Dhavamana Bhudanam Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Premadama Devameva Gaura Gaura Premadama Gadadharati Nityananda Sangha Vadhanam Shri Gadadharati Nityananda Sangha Vadhanam Andvayakya Bhakta Mukha Panchitat Sadhanam Andvayakya Bhakta Mukha Panchitat Shabilasha Matritosha Tatparam Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Premadama Devameva Nomi Gaura Sundarama Premadama Nyashiraja Nila Shaila Vasa Sarva Bhaumapam Nyashiraja Nila Shaila Vasa Sarva Bhaumapam Dakinata Tita Jata Bhakta Kalpa Padapam Raga Bhakti Vrishti Shakti Shancharam Acha Prema Kanja Punja Nindi Kanti Chandra Panditam Namagana Nitta Nambadimbya Bhava Mandira Prema Dhamma Devam Eva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Prema Dhamma Gaura Sundaram Nomi Gaura Sundaram Cha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama. Here we go. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hey Rama Rama Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Bhaja Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Shri Prem Dham Devi Sutram Ki Jai. Look in the light, yeah? Permanently scarred. Oh, Krishna Chaitanya. I take it, are you reading from a certain area of this? Or is it?
Madhya Lila, chapter 18, just starting.
Okay, yeah.
Visit to Vrindavan.
Yeah, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Sri Vrindavan. And what happened in the last part, do you remember?
Mahaprabhu was wandering throughout the forest of Vrindavan in great ecstasy, having loving exchanges with the trees, with the deer, with the bees, with the cows.
That wasn't the bit where he was dancing with the tigers, or that's another?
That was previous.
Before that, okay.
That was the previous chapter.
All right.
This was in Vrindavan itself.
Yeah. Okay. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura. The following summary of the 18th chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrit Pravaha Bhashya. In the village of Arit Gram, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered the transcendental lakes known as Radha Kund and Shama Kund. He then saw the deity Haridev at Govardhan village. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had no desire to climb Govardhan hill because the hill is worshipped as Krishna. The Gopal deity could understand the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, on the plea of being attacked by Muslims, Gopal transferred himself to the village of Gantuli Gram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Gantuli Gram to see Lord Gopal. This means that the Gopal deity was on the hill of Govardhan, right?
Yes.
Originally, and then he moved because Lord Chaitanya didn't want to go on the hills, step on the hill, because the Govardhan hill's also a non-different form of Krishna. Yeah. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Gantuli Gram, to see Lord Gopal. Some years later, Lord Gopal also went to Mathura, to the house of Vithaleshvara, and stayed there for 1 month just to give an audience to Srila Rupa Goswami. After visiting Nandishwar, Pavan Sarovar, Sheshai, Kailatirtha, Bandiravan, Bhadravan, Lohavan and Mahavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gokul and then finally returned to Mathura. Seeing a great crowd in Mathura, he moved his residence near Akrura Ghat, and from there he went every day to Vrindavan to see Kaliakhrada, Dvadash Aditya Ghat, Keshi Ghat, Rasa Shtali, Chiragat and Amlitala. At Kalia Lake, many people mistook a fisherman for Krishna. When some respectable people came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they expressed their opinion that when one takes sannyas, he becomes Narayan. Their mistake was corrected by the Lord. In this way, their Krishna consciousness was awakened, and they could understand that a sannyasi is simply a living entity and not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath at Akrura Ghat, he submerged himself in the water for a long time. Balabhadra Bhattacharya decided to take Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Prayag after visiting the holy place known as Svarup Kshetra. While stopping near a village on the way to Prayag, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fainted in ecstatic love. Some Pathan soldiers who were passing through saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and falsely concluded that the Lord's associates, Balabhadra Bhattacharya and others, had killed the Lord with a poison named Dhatura and were taking his wealth. Thus the soldiers arrested them. However, when the Lord regained his senses, his associates were released. He talked with a person who was supposed to be a holy man in the party. From the Quran, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established devotional service to Krishna. Thus the leader of the soldiers, named Vijuli Khan, surrendered to the Lord, and he and his party became devotees of Lord Krishna. The same village today is known as the village of Patan Vaishnavas. After bathing in the Ganges at Svarup, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Prayag, at the confluence of three rivers, the Ganges, Jamuna and Saraswati. Let me see how many... To see how many verses there are in the chapter. Let me get through it. So I want to get to the last part. It's all nectar, all through. Okay, it's like sugar. Wherever you taste it, it's sweet, yeah? But the last part is very nice. But it's, around 200 verses. So I won't read all the Bengali. I'll just only read it when there's somebody speaking. Okay, verse 1. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu travelled all over Vrindavan and pleased all living entities, moving and non-moving, with his glances. The Lord took much personal pleasure in seeing everyone. In this way Lord Gauranga travelled in Vrindavan. All glories to Lord Gaurachandra, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. So you can see already the incarnation of the Lord as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is travelling among the people, sort of as a sannyasi or like as one of us, in that sense. So this is very approachable, much more approachable in a certain sense than Krishna, Radha Krishna, which are enjoying their pastimes and their leela, far, 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 far away. And so here, Radha and Krishna combined, coming as Lord Chaitanya, making the Lord and His mercy very accessible. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in ecstasy, but when he arrived at Arit Gram, his sense perception was awakened. He asked the local people, "Where is Radha Kund?" No one could inform him, and the Brahmin accompanying him did not know either. So in other words, he was in ecstatic mood, his senses were internalized. But when he came to that place, somehow intuitively he came to his senses. Oh, where's Radha Kund? I think it's here, somewhere here. But nobody knew. The Lord then understood that the holy place called Radha Kund was no longer visible. However, being the omniscient Supreme Personality of Godhead, he discovered Radha Kund and Shama Kund in two paddy fields. There was only a little water, but he took his bath there. When the people saw the Lord taking his bath in these two ponds in the middle of the paddy fields, they were very much astonished. It's not a normal thing for a person to do, right? Normally you go to a kund or a pond or a river, Ganga, you splash around in the middle of a paddy field. You think that's very strange. The Lord then offered his prayers to Sri Radha Kund, and he quoted, "Sabagopi hoite Radha Krishnara prayasi, Ch.Ch Radha Kund priya priyara sharashi." Of all the gopis, Radharani is the dearmost. Similarly, the lake known as Radha Kund is very dear to the Lord, because it is very dear to Srimati Radharani. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Lord Krishna, so her lake known as Radha Kund is also very dear to him. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most beloved. He's quoting here from Padma Purana. The Radha Kund and Radharani are considered non-different also. In that lake, Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani used to sport daily in the water and have a rasa dance on the bank. Indeed, Lord Krishna gives ecstatic love like that of Srimati Radharani to whoever bathes in that lake, even once in his life. The attraction of Radha Kund is as sweet as that of Srimati Radharani. Similarly, the glories of the Kund are as great as Srimati Radharani's. Because of its wonderful transcendental qualities, Radha Kund is as dear to Krishna as Srimati Radharani. It was in that lake that the all-opulent Lord Sri Krishna performed his pastimes with Srimati Radharani with great pleasure and transcendental bliss. Whoever bathes just once in Radha Kund attains Srimati Radharani's loving attraction for Sri Krishna, Who within this world can describe the glories and sweetness of Sri Radha Kund? And this is from Govinda Lilamritam. That's by Rupa Goswami, yes? That's correct?
Govinda Lilamritam is Kaviraj.
Oh, Kaviraj, okay, so
his own work.
He's inserting his own verse there into the... But it's very similar to the verse at the end of Upadeshamrita by Rupa Goswami. Glories of Radha Kund. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus offered prayers to Radha Kund. Overwhelmed by ecstatic love, he danced on the bank, remembering the pastimes Lord Krishna performed on the bank of Radha Kund. So normally we say, well, being at such a sacred place and non-different from Radharani herself, as Vaishnavas, at least according to our training from our acharyas, we're not bathing in Radha Kund. Because to bathe means you have to put your feet in. So we're generally not doing that. Taking some water, drops of water, and putting on the head. But, Vaishnavas are different, of different types. Certainly the Vrajavasis who live near there, they bathe in there. So we may say, okay, that's not correct according to our understanding. However, being Vrajavasis, being born in the Dham, and being very auspicious and fortunate that way, probably Krishna just looks the other way, perhaps. But he wouldn't maybe look the other way for us, you know what I mean? So, but when we went there with the Parakram, and all devotees were there, and suddenly devotees are running and jumping in, jumping in. Devotees of the Mat, our Mat. I'm like, what? I looked at Tirtha Maharaj, and said, story. He goes, oh, never mind. Okay, what to do. Anyway, at least if you hear something from your Guru directly, then you have to follow that, don't you? Others may do as they do. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then marked his body with tilak made from the mud of Radha Kund, and with the help of Parabhadra Bhattacharya, he collected some of the mud and took it with him. From Radha Kund, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Sumanas Lake. When he saw Govardhan Hill from there, he was overwhelmed with joy. When the Lord saw Govardhan Hill, he immediately offered obeisances, falling down on the ground like a rod. He embraced one piece of rock from Govardhan Hill and became mad. Mad with ecstatic love, the Lord came to the village known as Govardhan. There he saw the deity named Haridev and offered his obeisances unto him. Haridev is an incarnation of Narayan, and his residence is on the western petal of the lotus of Mathura. Mad with ecstatic love, the Lord began to dance before the Haridev deity. Hearing of the Lord's wonderful activities, all the people came to see him. They were astonished when they saw the Lord's ecstatic love and personal beauty. The priest who served the Haridev deity offered the Lord a good reception. At Brahmakund, the Bhattacharya cooked food, and the Lord, after taking his bath at Brahmakund, accepted his lunch. That night the Lord stayed at the temple of Haridev, and during the night he began to reflect. Govardhan upare ami khabuna chodiba, Gopal rayer darshan kemani paiba. The Lord thought, since I shall not at any time climb Govardhan Hill, how shall I be able to see Gopal Rai? It means the Gopal Murti. Rai is like a respectable title, like Ramanand Rai. It's like saying Sir, something. Thinking in this way, the Lord remained silent, and Lord Gopal, knowing his contemplation, played a trick. Coming down from Govardhan Hill, Lord Gopal granted an interview to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was unwilling to climb the hill, thinking himself a devotee of Lord Krishna. Gopal stayed in a village called Anakut Gram on Govardhan Hill. The villagers who lived in that village were mainly from Rajasthan. One person who came to the village informed the inhabitants, "The Turkish soldiers are now preparing to attack your village. Flee from this village tonight and do not allow one person to remain. Take the deity with you and leave, for the Muslim soldiers will come tomorrow." Hearing this, all the villagers became very anxious. They first took Gopal and moved him to a village known as Gantuli. The Gopal deity was kept in the house of a Brahmin, and his worship was conducted secretly. Everyone fled, and thus the village of Anakut was deserted. A Turkish soldier, right? They probably, coming to Vrindavan, they know it's a holy place of the Hindus, right? So they think, oh, Govardhan Hill, that's their special place, so we'll go there. So this village was on Govardhan Hill, so they all had to scarper. Due to fear of the Muslims, the Gopal deity was moved from one place to another again and again. Thus, giving up his temple, Lord Gopal would sometimes live in a bush and sometimes in one village after another. In the morning, the Lord took his bath in a lake called Manasa Ganga. He then circumambulated Govardhan Hill. It's called Manasa Ganga because one time Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's father, wanted to take bath in the Ganga. Of course, in Vrindavan you have the Jamuna, so there Jamuna became Ganga, that place. Just by seeing Govardhan Hill, the Lord became ecstatic with love of Krishna. While dancing and dancing, he recited the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21-18. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan Hill is the best. Oh, my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, as well as their calves, cows and cowherd friends. Spoken by the gopis, yeah. With all kinds of necessities, water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respect to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan Hill appears very jubilant. The Lord then took his bath in a lake called Govindakund, and while he was there, he heard that the Gopal deity had already gone to Gantuli Gram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the village of Gantuli Gram and saw the Lord Gopal deity. Overwhelmed by ecstatic love, he began to dance and chant. He was overwhelmed by ecstatic love, and he recited the following verse. This is the verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Oh. May the left arm of Sri Krishna, whose eyes are like the petals of a lotus flower, always protect you. With his left arm, he raised Govardhan Hill as if it were a toy. So Krishna lifted the Govardhan Hill with his left hand. So that has some significance. Like, as you know, according to Aryan culture, we're using the right hand for things, like eating and things, and the left hand is considered, used for other things. So the fact that he lifted with the left hand means very negligently, just like, just not even using the right hand, the left hand, and with his finger like that, and he's holding it up. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Gopal deity for 3 days. On the 4th day, the deity returned to his own temple. What does that mean? The Muslims didn't come, or they came and went?
I think it was just a scare.
Just a scare.
They didn't actually come.
Maybe it was all Gopal's arrangement,
Exactly.
so he could come off the hill and give his darshan. Yeah. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked with the deity of Gopal and he chanted and danced. It means when they're taking him on a procession back to his temple. A large and jubilant crowd of people also chanted the transcendental name of Krishna, Hari, Hari. Thus the Lord returned to his own temple, Gopal, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained at the bottom of the hill. Thus all the desires of the Lord were satisfied by the Gopal deity. This is the way of Lord Gopal's kind behaviour to his devotees. Seeing this, the devotees were overwhelmed by ecstatic love. The Lord was very eager to see Gopal, but he didn't want to climb Govardhan Hill. Therefore, by some trick, the Gopal deity personally descended. In this way, giving some excuse, Gopal sometimes remains in the bushes of the forest, and sometimes he stays in a village. One who is a devotee comes to see the deity. The two brothers, Rup and Sanatan, didn't climb the hill. To them also, Lord Gopal granted an interview. So that was when Lord Chaitanya was speaking to Jagadananda Pandit, I believe, and Jagadananda very much wanted to go to Vrindavan, but he was several times refused permission by the Lord. And then Guru Maharaj is commenting there that Jagadananda Pandit is manifestation of Satyabhama Devi, aka Radharani in Vrindavan. So how is it that Radharani, that's the place of Radharani, and yet she can't go there? It's a very peculiar pastime. Because Vrindavan is specific, very specific actually to Radharani. Like if you go to Vrindavan, mostly the people there, the people who live there, they don't say Hare Krishna. They say Radhe, Radhe, Jai Radhe, 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 always. So it's like kind of her place, you know, in that sense. So, yeah, so Lord Chaitanya, he said that was one of the things. He gave 4 instructions to Jagadananda. Okay, you can go to Vrindavan, but here are the rules. Number 1, don't walk on Govardhan Hill. 2, don't associate intimately with the Vrajavasis there, because their practices and behavior may be not suitable for us. And we shouldn't criticize them for that, but we shouldn't imitate them either. And then, what was the other ones? Yeah, always stay under the guidance of Rupa and Sanatan, and follow their guidance. And the 4th?
Don't stay too long.
Don't stay more than 3 days or 3 nights. Short stay, yeah. So also this is a recommendation for all devotees in general, if they visit Vrindavan. So Rupa and Sanatan, they also didn't climb the hill, but Lord Gopal also granted them an interview, because as he got in his old age, Rupa Goswami was more and more desiring to have darshan of Gopal. Due to fear of the Muslims, Gopal went to Mathura, where he remained in the house of Vithaleshvara for 1 full month. Srila Rupa Goswami and his associates stayed in Mathura for 1 month and saw the Gopal deity. So this is jumping forward. This is after Mahaprabhu left the planet. Rupa and Sanatan are in Vrindavan then. He told them to go there and to write books about Krishna consciousness, all these books we have, and to rediscover the lost places of pilgrimage, because he was establishing his mission in the world, Lord Gauranga. And so he saw them as very, fit to do that. So when Rupa Goswami stayed at Mathura, he was accompanied by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Lokanath Das Goswami. Bhugarbha Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Yadav Acharya, and Govinda Goswami also accompanied Srila Rupa Goswami. So quite a sangha there, 8 or 10 devotees. Nice, huh? Going together. Srila Guru Maharaj was saying, the path of Krishna consciousness is very long and can at certain times seem very hard. And he said, at the beginning, the very beginning, and near the end is more easy. At the beginning, because you just have some idea about Krishna consciousness. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's lovely. And I get some relief from material miseries and all that by chanting Hare Krishna, by following Krishna consciousness. But to a large degree, it's still partly theoretical. And he gives the example of, like in war, before the actual battle begins, you're planning the campaign. And so you're looking at things, you're seeing this is the battlefield, okay, this is the enemy, this is all the plans. But there's no actual fighting. So there's not so much trouble at that time. So it's like, and near the end of the war, near the end of the battle, when a lot of the battle's been fought and the victory is nearly there, at that time also less trouble. But the middle part, with the fighting part, is very difficult. So that's the practice, the sadhana. That's called the practice of Krishna consciousness. So in Krishna consciousness, we talk about, in the theology, you have three parts: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan. Have you heard of this? You ever come across it? Yeah? You heard the words, yeah. It sounds all very complicated. It's actually pretty simple. What it means is, it's like 3 steps, yeah? So Sambandha means the relationship with Krishna. So it's like an initial thing. The deity of the Sambandha Gyan is Madan Mohan. And this deity is worshipped by Sanatana Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami and Madan Mohan Jew, his deity, they're considered the deity and the acharya of this aspect of Krishna consciousness, the initial aspect. Like when Krishna was teaching Sanatana Goswami, it wasn't the deep parts about the rasa and the loving relationships with the Lord so much as he taught to Rupa Goswami. Sanatana Goswami was the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Krishna and his energies, the Maya Shakti, the Jiva Shakti, how they're all related to each other, and that's called Sambandha. Sambandha means to join or connect. So how everything connects together, theologically, in theory at least, yeah, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, that's called Sambandha. So Madan Mohan, the deity of Sambandha, is like beautiful. Madan Mohan means the attractor of Cupid. So that's when someone comes to Krishna consciousness, mostly they're attracted by the beauty of Krishna, right, in some way, or they see a picture and they go, wow, who's that? A lot of people say, is that a girl? They said that to me. Because he looks like that, Because they think, a man has to be like, Schwarzenegger and really gross and horrible. But anyway, so Madan Mohan, he attracts. So there's no actual savor at that point. There's just an initial wow, an attraction, and a desire to make a connection, some connection with the Lord. So someone. Then the next stage, Abhideya. Abhideya literally means the means to the end. So from the initial attraction, then Abhideya means the practicing of Krishna consciousness, hearing, chanting, remembering, and it means bhajana kriya to the stage means initiation. Get initiation, and you get service connection. Of course, you can be doing service before that or without initiation, but generally speaking, it means the connection with Krishna through which we are able to actually render service through the Guru Parampara. So that's Govinda. The deity is Govinda. Prabhupada, in another place, he calls him the functional deity, the one who accepts our service. So Madan Mohan, just initially, beautiful, attraction, and desire to connect, Sambandha, and then actual engagement, Govinda, to Govinda. And then the deity is Lord Govinda, Govinda Sundar, and the acharya is Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Goswami, as I said, he received the deeper teachings of Mahaprabhu, his book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and the higher part of that Ujjvala Nilamani, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu deals with 5 rasas, relationships with Krishna, Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, but it doesn't go in great details about Madhurya Rasa. And the follow-on book to that is called Ujjvala Nilamani, which is, the whole book is about the Madhurya relationship with Krishna, the conjugal relationship. What are the different moods, sentiments, this whole psychology of divine love, etc. And that book is, it means Ujjvala Nilamani. Nilamani means a blue jewel. Mani is jewel, like a jewel, and Nila is blue, a blue gem. Specifically means sapphire. A blue sapphire is called Nilamani. So Krishna is like like a blue sapphire. He's blackish, dark blue, deep blue form, but it's not just deep blue. It's also ujjwal. Ujjwal means if you take a jewel and you polish it very, 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 very much, it's so bright, it's so shining that from any angle it's like flashing, beautiful with beauty. So it means the Krishna who's like whose luster has a beautiful luster like a Nilamani. That's Ujjwala Nilamani. We're not supposed to read that book, incidentally, in general. It's one of the higher books. You have Ujjwala Nilamani, Govinda Lilamritam by Rupa Goswami, and other books by the Goswamis, Jiva Goswami also, and also others by such as Prabodhananda Saraswati, Radha Rasa Shuddhanidhi. That's another book. It's very special. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is good for us. We can understand from that the relationships with Krishna, 5 kinds of rasas in their broad outline. So that's Abhideya, the means to the end, practicing Krishna consciousness and a functional service relationship. Then the last stage is called prayojana. Prayojan means the end, the goal, the thing, the whole purpose of everything we're doing and what it's aiming for and aiming towards. Prayojan means prema, Krishna prema, love of Krishna. So, and the deity is a Gopinath. Gopinath is the Lord of the Gopis, and the Acharya is Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami, his story is very special. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. But again, he lived in Vrindavan under the guidance of Rupa and Sanatan, and he lived on the banks of Radha Kund, and he also wrote many fantastic scriptures. And this is from his realization. It's not like theoretical. What he would be chanting, and then he would go into this trance in samadhi, and in his trance he would actually assume his gopi form. He's called Rati Manjari, and so Rupa Goswami, as we know, is Rupa Manjari, and they're like sisters, very, very close, called Kinkari. Kinkari means not just friends, but very, very close, intimate friends. So much so that what one of them is thinking, the other simultaneously thinks that or knows that kind of closeness. So we talk about Rupa and Rati, they're so intimately connected, or Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. And so in his samadhi, he would be entering the pastimes of Krishna as Rati Manjari and rendering different kinds of service. So he knows firsthand, participating in that Leela. And from that he wrote his scripts. Like his very famous one is called Vilap Kushamanjali. Again, it's one of the ones we're generally not reading that. Ourselves, just, let's have a look in here. Not like that. If a pure Vaishnav or high Vaishnav is telling us some things from there or some stories, very respectfully, we can hear that, as Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj did, and Srila Govinda Maharaj on occasions, to illustrate some point or to make some point or to show something. They may cite, from these scriptures. So Vilap Kushamanjali means a flower garland of lamentations. Kushamanjali, when we do Pushpanjali. So Kushamanjali and Vilap means to lament. So he's strung together, I think it's, I forget how many verses it is, over 100, something. Strung together these lamentations in a garland, and he's offering that to Radharani. And these lamentations are saying, when will I get your direct service? Because when he wrote that, he was in his 80, elderly. So he's lamenting in that book so much. Oh, Radharani, without your direct service, my life is finished. I've come to this old age, and still if I cannot get your service, then it's all over for me. And he's very much feeling like that. So it's born of this deep spiritual sentiment. So he's the Prayojan Acharya. So that's why, because his expression in his writings, his teachings, and his life and his example, his extreme renunciation in Krishna consciousness. Christian conscious philosophy says yukta vairagya, that what is favourable for the service of Krishna, that shouldn't be rejected or renounced. That should be utilised in Krishna service. That's the general principle Rupa Goswami has given. But Raghunath Das Goswami exhibited extreme renunciation to a very extreme degree. But it's not a dry renunciation for the sake of attaining some spiritual goal, like the Gyanis do. Doing extreme penance, extreme tapasya to develop their Shakti. And with that Shakti, with that energy, because tapasya, coming from the Sanskrit tapas, and tapas literally means heat. So like if you deny yourself and you do self-sacrifice, that naturally produces a kind of energy in the body, in the psyche, and then that energy you can use to attain your goal. So that's tapasya. But in this case, he's not doing the tapasya for the sake of spiritual elevation, for his own attainment of some spiritual goal. He's doing it because he's so much engaged in Christian consciousness 24/7. So hardly no time to eat, no time to sleep, just absorbed completely in Christian consciousness. So just taking some buttermilk every 2-3 days, like a cup of, like that. Someone might donate it or bring it to him, or he might ask someone, depending, when he would remember, or Krishna would make him remember, oh, you have to eat something, so you do that. Otherwise he's not bothering. Also sleeping, no time for sleeping, because so much Christian consciousness, his realization is putting it down, Beautiful writing, small writing in Sanskrit, like, it says like rows of pearls, Beautiful. So then, he's the Prayojan Acharya, Raghunath Das Goswami. And his renunciation started when he was in Puri, before he ever came to Vrindavan, and before he was like a sadhu, like a Babaji, like in Vrindavan. He was a young man, and he escaped from his family, and he went to Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya. Previous to that, he was continually trying to escape, and the parents were very worried. And even the mother, one time she said to the father, oh, we should tie him up. If we tie him up, he won't escape. And the father said, oh, that's a foolish idea, because, his mind and his heart is always running to this Lord Chaitanya. So how do you think you can stop him just by tying his body, It's not going to work, Several times he tried to escape, but they sent guards and they brought him back. But finally he did escape, because he took another route. Instead of going the normal route from Bengal to Puri, which is the normal route down the coast, which they would be waiting for him, So he went right up in a big loop, up through the jungle and down the other way. And it took him 9 days, and he only ate anything for 3 of those days, and was sleeping in the cow barn, and he arrived then in Puri, and was united with Lord Chaitanya. Before that, Lord Chaitanya was saying to him, don't leave now. He said, don't be impetuous. The word he used was, don't be impetuous, just on impulse, Now you stay and look after your elderly parents and do that service. And in the future, when the time is right, we will meet. So this is also an example for householders to do their duty to their spouse and family and their job and society and all that. At the same time as thinking of Krishna, so...
And was he passing the stage of Sambandha, like at attraction to Krishna while he was surrounded with his family, and then
I think so. Yeah, you could say like that. Abhideya was his journey to Puri, maybe. Yeah. But so what happened when he got to Puri? And of course the parents were horrified that he'd escaped, but eventually they had to accept the fact that he was there and he wasn't coming back. But initially he was living, they provided a house for him, and they sent 2 servants from Bengal to look after him and cook his food and make sure he was okay. But he just sent them back after a few days, you know. And then he was going every day to beg food at the gate of the Jagannath temple. And so he was doing that for a few days, and then after a few days, even that he felt was not a very good thing. Because the way he explained it was, he said it was being like a prostitute. And this idea is coming from, if you've read Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, there's what's called the story of the Avadut Brahmin. And this Brahmin, he was wandering around India, and on his travels, he had 24 gurus, right? And I believe Krishna is relating this story to Uddhava, or it's in the 11th canto anyway, of these 24 gurus. And it's very interesting. You know, the bumblebee, so many, and one of the stories was the prostitute Pingala. So the idea was that how she got enlightenment, or how she attained detachment from the world and attachment to Krishna, that every evening she'd come and stand by the door of her house, sort of, what's the word, not petitioning, when you're trying to get customers, there's a word for it.
Promote.
In English. Promote, no.
Advertise.
Advertise, that's closer, yeah. It's more like a general word. Anyway, she was like that, prospecting. So she'd just be on the door, on the porch, in the doorway, and she'd be seeing the men walking past, you know, and she'd think, oh, this one, maybe, yeah, he looks rich. He looks like he's got money, maybe, oh, he's gone past. Oh, maybe this one, you know. And this was going on. And on this particular day, this went on right till after midnight. And finally, she just gave up. And she just went in her house and lay on the bed, and she was thinking, what is this, you know? I was spending all this time, this effort, this energy, and it's just so... And she just got to change, you know? And she said, I want to be devoted to Krishna. So, in this way, Raghunath Das Goswami was thinking like that he's standing and maybe this one will give me some food. Oh no, they've gone past. Oh, maybe this one. You know, it's like he felt bad about that. It wasn't the thing to do. So in the end, he just went round the side of the wall where they throw the old rotten rice has become fermented and is not going to be eaten. So they chuck it over the walls. There's a pile of it there. So you'd collect that rice and wash it in some water and add some salt and take that as prasad, you know. And when Lord Chaitanya found out about it, he was amazed himself and very happy actually. And he came, and one day he came and he had his pot with his, you know, this rice. And probably couldn't have tasted very good, even with this salt, you know. But, and Lord Chaitanya said, give me that, give me your prasad, that's the super special Mahaprasad. And they're like this, you know. So, you know. So, yeah, Raghunath Das Goswami. So, coming up to 8 o'clock. I wanted to get to the part at the end about the Muslim warriors. That's a great part. And a discussion based on the Quran. But we can read that next time. I'll put the marker in. Jai. Prabhu. Hari Hare Namo Krishna Namo Namo Nandavaya Gopinaya Mandavaya Keshavaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Radhar Shiva Shad Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Patkara Guna. Jiva Gopal Bhatta Tasara Guna. Jai Goshai Gori Charana Vandan. Jai Vignanas Avishta Purana. Jai Gochai Ta Muri Charadasa. Shavara Padaren Mora Panchakrasa. Kandara Charana Sevi Bhakta Shanivasa. Janname Janname Mot Heya Vilasa. Jai Koshai Ravi Pache Kolopasa. Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Gaurila Padasha. Anandam Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana. Guru Vaishnava Panjaya Mana. Guru Vaishnava Padma Koriyacha. Harinam Sankirtan Kori Naratam Mudasa. Hare Krishna. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Santaraj Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai Shri Gurudev ki, Shri Guru Maharaj ki, Acharya Maharaj ki, Sripad Guru Varga ki, Bhakti Vignashna Bhagavan Singh Dev ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Gaura Premanande Hari Om.